Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever the fuck you're tuning in. This is another episode of the Blitz brought to you by Backyard Sports. As you can see, the cat's away again, so the mice are about to play. Andy, the fantasy guru, how you doing, bud?
I am Ron Burgundy. I'm good, man. Fucking dad's away. We're unsupervised yet again. Let's see what happens.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, hey, let's jump right into it, man. Week 6 was an interesting week. Both undefeateds go down. We'll get to both of those games, but we start the week out with a bit of a slop fest in Kansas City. I think people tend to forget, maybe in I'm maybe a little guilty of this. 70 points by Miami was kind of the outlier against this Denver defense. I think they just quit. I think we were reminded Thursday night that Denver's defense is still pretty good. Russell Wilson is still pretty awful. And Sean Payton may have been riding the coattails of Drew Brees for all of his success in New Orleans. Any thoughts, any takeaways from this game? Anything from Kansas City's side that worries you potentially going forward? They're 5-1. Should we be a little worried about a 19-8 win against Denver?
You want to keep being worried, right? But they keep winning.
Right.
And they're I saw the stat today.
Chalking up them W's.
since week 9 of last season, they're 13-1.
Yeah.
Including
the Super Bowl win.
15-1.
Yeah, something like that.
San Fran's also 15-1. Like it's pretty remarkable considering ankle gate and a banged up Kelsey week 1. Obviously, that's their loss, right? The Lions, who also
are 5-1, right? So like that's not a bad loss.
Well, they're also on that list because they're like 13-3 in that same stretch. Yep. So it's kind of like where there's a will, there's a way. And I just saw the stat earlier, and I don't want to flub it, but Mahomes this season cooking.
Yeah.
So he seems to keep getting it done without these receivers. These running backs that seem to get the job done, but it's nobody who's going to, you're not going to see him on a cereal box.
Not a household name, yeah.
I mean, again, if anybody's still questioning Patrick Mahomes, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Rent's due. It's time to pay. Just give the man his fucking flowers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he's quietly efficient. 11-5 TD to INT. You want to see him clean up those INTs a little bit, but QBR almost 100. He's got 1,600 yards through 6 games. Quietly, they're just not scoring a ton of points, and I think that's the one thing that sticks out with Kansas City is they're not putting up 30 a game like we've seen them do in the past. But they're also playing really good defense, which for the rest of the league might be even fucking scarier because if that defense keeps Patrick Mahomes in the game late, you almost expect him to just pull it out, right? And it's like with Brady used to be with the Patriots, and they would just play kind of this really good defensive game, and down the stretch, Brady's got the ball in his hands, and guess what? The Patriots are chalking up another W, right? That's kind of what we're seeing right now with Kansas City. They're playing really good defense. Mahomes is being efficient and effective, and still quietly putting up good numbers. It's just not a lot of points on the board.
And when the offense figures it out, because I don't think it's an if, right? We've been proven time and time again that it's going to happen. When they figure it out,
Andy Reid's going to figure out that Rashee Rice is a real wide receiver and things like that. Right?
Might be the only one he has. So,
might be the only one he has.
Shit.
Might be the only one he has. All right, let's shift gears over to Washington, Atlanta. Ugly game. I don't want to get too far on my soapbox right away. What are your thoughts on this? Anything you take away from this game?
Yeah, who's on the island there?
Raul.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, the Lions played Atlanta too. I watched that game. You've said it numerous times, so I don't want to dwell on it. Not a lot there, roster-wise. I don't know, man. Washington's a weird team. I feel like every time I want to fucking pick them, I do, and they hurt my feelings. And then when I don't pick them, they're like, "Oh, hey, we're still okay." So I don't know. I don't know what Washington is. I mean, you're gonna have a better idea than me, obviously, because I've seen one game partially. That was week 1. I didn't love it. That was the Arizona game, but. Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know what they are, and I don't know if I'm gonna know before 8 weeks are played.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? As somebody who watches every Washington game, And I'm not watching as a casual fan, right? We've talked about that on this show. Like I'm watching this game. I want to scrutinize. I want to see what they're doing, how they're preparing, what they're doing to attack the other team. I play kind of armchair GM with this team because I'm just that passionate about Washington football, right? I'm
see Gary's timeline on a Sunday.
Right. Seriously, go to Facebook and you'll see how passionate I am about this team, right? I'm passionate about all sports. I've got teams that I watch in other sports that I root for. I've got players that I root for, but this is my sports sphere, right? Washington Commanders, Redskins football team. This is my sphere. I know what's wrong with them. I just don't know if they're ever going to fix it. One, defensively, Jack Del Rio tries to play too many exotic zones. We are 8 yards off the ball trying to drive on passes when it's on 3rd and 2. 3rd and 7, we're playing like this weird kind of combination, shift the corner out to safety, and the safety goes to the flat, and there's this wide open hole. And I know, like, when you design a defense, you're like, well, if they exploit this one hole, but the likelihood that they're going to exploit this one hole is not very high, it just seems like it's 100% against this defense. I don't know if they're telegraphing, but every fucking 3rd down and long, like, we must give up 80% of 3rd down and 7+. It is so frustrating. On the other side of the ball, EB will not stick to the run. I don't know what his problem is, but Brian Robinson, earth to EB and earth to the rest of the fucking world, Brian Robinson is a fucking man. He runs angry behind his pads. He's never tackled by the first guy. He's rarely tackled by the first 2 guys, yet we refuse to give him the ball. Case in point, that check down pass that Howell got out of the pocket and found him as his safety valve, he ran through 5 Falcons and carried 3 of them to the end zone. For the difference in the game. That touchdown was the difference in the game. I don't know what EB's problem is in his reluctance to commit to the run. I don't know if this is like everybody's on this weird page that nobody else is on, and they're like, this is a trial run year for Sam. We're going to throw him in the deep end, and if he can swim, we're going to win. If he can't swim, we're just going to regroup next year and figure out what's going on. But that's not going to win football games. This is a team that should win 10 games. I'm going to be honest about it. This is a roster that should win 10 games. They've got weapons on the outside in the passing game. They've got a tight end that can really play. Logan Thomas can really play. They've got 2 running backs that can get it done. One, especially Brian Robinson, is a 20 carries a game guy. That's what he should be. At least 20 touches, but probably 20 carries. They've finally got a quarterback, and they've got 5 first-round picks on that defensive line. And this team just cannot figure out how to come into a game prepared. We get beat up. So Desmond Ridder looked like Dan Marino on Atlanta's first drive of that game. And credit to Jack and the players or whoever it was that made the adjustment. Ridder didn't look great the rest of the game. Kyle Pitts had a career day. Drake London looked like the guy that everybody thought he was going to be coming out of college. I know I posted this on Facebook, and I'm going to reiterate it here. Falcons fans, pump the fucking brakes, bro. Things aren't okay there. You're still the worst roster in football. Washington just does this for teams. They're playing the Giants this weekend. Giants fans are going to think that fucking Tyrod Taylor is the savior, right? Because that's just what we fucking do. I don't know what it is about playing down to bad teams. EB needs to stick to the run on offense. Del Rio needs to stop getting cute with these weird zone fucking concepts. They may have worked back in like 1998. They ain't working today, man. Not against 11 packages. Not against 11 personnel. It's not going to work.
And so just to kind of, trail off of what you had said a second ago, B-Rob, and if that's not what you guys are calling them, that you should be. So
B-Rob, absolutely.
Let's make that a thing if it's not already. Brian Robinson is a man, big, physical, just can do a lot of things. I think quietly way more agile than he should be.
Oh, yeah.
Just under 13 carries a game.
It's silly, dude. It's so stupid.
How that doesn't sit well with me, and I'm not a Washington fan. So just under 13 carries a game, and it's not like Gibson is out there taking his carries.
No,
because they're not giving him the ball.
Gibson's getting like 2.5 a game.
Right. So 12.8 carries per game is unacceptable, and I think we're seeing it from EB, right? Like maybe this is why you're making lateral moves, which I don't even like to call it a lateral move because you went from the Chiefs to the Commanders. No offense.
You moved up to assistant head coach, but you moved down. You moved down the rankings.
Insane, and we're seeing it. I mean, listen, there's a fucking reason. Yeah. It's the same reason when we look at guys who get promoted, and we're like, who the hell is that guy?
Yeah, and
it's like, oh, they know football. So I mean, I feel for you.
Yeah. Listen,
Robinson, I think you said 20. There's no reason why he's not getting 25.
He should get 20 at least. Yeah, 20. I'm fine with 25. Give him 25 carries. Absolutely.
With a team that can play defense, you would think that let's give him 25 carries a game, slow the game. We got Sam Howell, who we don't know what he is yet. Let's run the fucking ball.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody wants to commit to it except Atlanta, who just plays a muddy, dirty, gritty style of football. It's a bad roster, but they're always in games late because they just play that way.
I mean, my Lions like to run the ball too. We'll see how that goes now.
Gibbs is leading the charge.
They're like, no, we don't run the ball anymore.
St. Brown's going to get a lot of sweep handoffs.
Craig Reynolds, get over here. No, I'm just kidding. I don't mean
that would fit the national narrative.
I don't want to play into that. Your brother gave me shit about that the other day. At Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, he's got kids in a fantasy league though.
Listen, I dismissed him because he was sitting in the fucking passenger seat of his vehicle.
Yeah.
I don't play that shit.
No, but listen, I want to just kind of fucking pound the desk on what you said about EB, man, because I've said that for 2 weeks now. I've talked about that kind of in chats and with people, and I'm starting to realize that the whole, I don't want to say race card, right? Because that's what's been pulled and played, but maybe that's not a thing with EB, right? I'm not letting the NFL off the hook because it
can be a thing and not be this thing.
Exactly. It's a thing in the NFL, but absolutely. I'm seeing now why EB hasn't gotten a head coaching gig because this is fucking awful.
Yeah, he's a potato, I think, dude. I don't think he knows what's going on. I hate to say it. I mean, you're OC for probably, arguably the best offensive-minded head coach of all time. Yeah. And
you're a redundant character in this game.
Shit's fucking shit. Those Jenga pieces are climbing, dude. There's a stairway, and now I'm seeing the top of that bitch, and I'm like, fuck.
Oh, maybe that's why. Yeah. I will say this though. I don't want to jinx it too much. I'm not gonna dive into the deep end of the pool here, but I will say it feels good to watch games on Sunday and think we've got a quarterback that can play. We don't know what Sam can be long term, but I'm telling you right now, he can play. And as long as we don't fuck this up, we may now have a quarterback.
Right. And for the naysayers, he's better than Tyler Heineke because I heard a lot of that.
I thought we could win with Heineke, but that's a different story than Sam Howell can play the quarterback position in the NFL.
Right.
We may have a franchise guy. I'll go out on a limb to say we may have a franchise guy because he has charge of the offense. He's calm, he's collected, he's smart, and he can make all the throws. That was one thing with Heineke is he couldn't make all the throws. Howell can make all of the throws. And he's tough as fucking nails, and he can move around a little bit. Takes a lot of sacks because he's tough as fucking nails, but he can play, man. He can play, and I don't want to go too far and set myself up for disappointment. But if this is our franchise guy, I'm good. I'm good. For the first time in my adult life, I'm good. If this is our franchise guy. Because I knew we were never going to have Kirk Cousins long term because they didn't want to keep him. So I never looked at that to say if Kirk Cousins was still around, I think we'd be fine. But I'm okay.
Yeah, he's a trash can too, anyway. So
yeah, I'm okay right now though. I'll go as far as to say that if Sam Howell's our guy for the next 10 years, I'm okay.
I hope it works out for you. I truly do.
Yeah. All right, off the bashing of Washington here. Talk about Baltimore. Won a tight game against Tennessee, and it looked like late that they were going to kind of give this thing away. Justin Tucker hit 6 field goals in this game. Baltimore wins a really ugly slot fest against a Tennessee Titans team that ended up with Malik Willis at quarterback at the end of this game, and probably longer term, because it sounds like Tannehill's got a pretty nasty high ankle sprain. Anything to take away from this game? Are the Ravens going to figure this thing out on offense?
I hope not. Going into next week,
right?
Yeah. No, I mean, figure it out, because Detroit's got to win on their own. No, I just actually the only two. I have two quick things, and one was my son was asking me before. He was asking me on Saturday. His fantasy kicker is Justin Tucker, and he was like, "This Justin Tucker guy sucks." And I was like, "Yeah, he's the best kicker of all time, pal." And he's like, "Oh, he's got me 4 points, 4 points." I'm like, he's like, "I'm gonna drop him." I'm like, "Don't drop him. Just keep him." So then on Sunday, like afternoon, I was like, "Dude, did you drop Justin Tucker?" And he was like, "No, I never did anything." I'm like, "Good," because I think he has 6 field goals.
Points, bro.
So yeah, I think he said he had 19 points.
Or 19, yeah. Because one.
Well, there's that, and then the only other thing is Tennessee's way. Malik Willis, is that going to last? Because Tannehill's going to be out.
Yeah.
Will Levis.
Yeah.
Who? If it's you, who do you have a better? If you're Tennessee, who do you want? Maybe not next week, but maybe in 2 weeks. Do you want Will Levis or do you want Malik Willis?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a quick look at their schedule ahead, because I think they've got their bye week coming. Not this weekend. Actually,
I mean, I think it's Malik Willis going into one more week.
They are on a bye week this week.
Oh, they are? Oh, so that makes it more interesting.
They are on a bye week this week. So I think long term, eventually, Will Levis is going to take the reins, because I feel like the Titans, without Ryan Tannehill, this is going to become a sinking ship. And we could see the Titans basically just, okay, now we got to figure out what we've got in Will Levis. We've seen the Malik Willis experiment. I don't think Malik Willis went to a place where he was going to succeed. I don't think that Tennessee does a good job developing quarterbacks.
Or anything.
Or anything, right? That's fair. I liked Malik Willis coming out of college, but it's clear to me that he's not gotten very good quarterback coaching there in Tennessee, because he looks pretty lost for the most part when he plays. So I do think I'm with you. I think probably coming out of the bye, I'm going to give Malik Willis 2 weeks to prepare, because he's been in the offense. He's been in the building, and I've got to give him a fair shake, because he was my number 2 coming into the season. Maybe by week 10 or 11, if Tannehill is still on the mend and not playing, we may see them turn to Will Levis. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Will Levis get some run in some of these games too, if they're getting their asses kicked.
So yes, week 9,
Will Levis.
Will Levis or Malik? Okay, Will Levis. I think
Will Levis is an NFL quarterback, though.
Assuming
so I'll put that disclaimer out there. I think he's an NFL quarterback.
Right. Assuming Tannehill can't go, week 9, we agree, Will Levis.
Yep.
And I think this injury may just seal the deal for Tannehill. Maybe he's an NFL quarterback, starting NFL quarterback, certainly.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I look at is maybe they hold out because of the defenses they could be playing. They got the Steelers week 10, maybe week 9. I'm sorry, Steelers week 9. Maybe you don't throw Will Levis out there against him. Buccaneers week 10, Jags week.
Good D's. Maybe
you end up with Carolina in week 12. You throw them out there against Carolina in week 12 potentially. They're good defenses, but
Carolina.
Yeah, and that great, right? That's what you want, right? You want to build that confidence. Maybe that's why they would go after week 9, and if Tannehill's still on the mend, I do think he's done in Tennessee potentially. Maybe it's week 12 against Carolina, right? If they
thought he was done. I thought he was done going into the season. With
they tried to get rid of him. They tried to get rid of
quarterbacks behind him.
They tried to trade him too.
Right.
That was very public.
Especially when you're going to be bad, and you know you're going to be bad. Even with DeAndre Hopkins, you're going to be bad. And the
veteran quarterback does you no good.
That fan base is sitting there, and they got 2 young quarterbacks, and they're like, fucking put one of them in.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean,
maybe you wait to week 12 because of the defenses you're going to face, but who knows? We'll see.
It don't seem like a thing Tennessee is going to do.
No.
Week 12.
Vrabel's going to put him in there probably.
He's gonna put him in there like he puts a fucking pillow on the uppy lip. Insert.
Vikings Bears. I was on loser island for this one. I've lost a lot of faith in the Vikings. Justin Jefferson being down, I didn't think they were going to be able to survive. Justin Fields went down early in this game, which I think changed the momentum, the trajectory of this game for Chicago. Minnesota's defense looked like they had a plan for Chicago. I know Chicago doesn't have a great offense, but it looked like they had a plan for them. They were on like their fifth running back too. But any takeaways from this?
Now, who called this a defensive struggle? Because nobody did.
I would have bet the over if I was betting this game.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I would have bet the over twice. And no, it's just you lost faith in Minnesota. I've lost faith in Minnesota too, but it was still the Bears.
It's still Bears.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't watch that game. Looked boring as shit.
Yeah,
Fields out again. Crazy.
Yeah, dislocated thumb. Probably gonna miss at least a week. Bengals Seahawks, and I know we talked a little bit about this game because about halfway through the first quarter we were like, "Hey, Joe Burrow's healthy, man," and it looked like the Bengals were going to kind of run away and hide from the Seahawks. Credit to Pete Carroll and the Sea Chickens. They battled and battled and battled, but I will say this, discredit to Pete Carroll and the Sea Chickens. They had 2 possessions late inside the 10, passed on a field goal, which then put them in position where they needed the touchdown to win late in the game, and they had to go for it then. You take that field goal the first time around, maybe you got a chance to win this game. Now things may play out different, but the way it played out, you'd have had a chance to win if you'd have taken that field goal earlier in the game.
Yeah, I'm
like 7 minutes left too.
that game like popped off so fast. I watched the game, so that was like my 1:00 game because the Lions didn't play until 4:25. So I was watching that game and I was like, oh shit. And it started off really good. And I was like, bang, bang, let's go. Burrow looks good. We were talking about it. T. Higgins still looks like a shit box. But you know what I'm going to say? Like, this is my biggest takeaway from that entire game is Geno Smith, for all the love we have and other people have given him over the last season and some change, and for what he has going, like, that dude sucks. He does. He sucks. Like, he does. He is not the one winning those games. Like, they're winning games, and he's like the fucking person on the science project who didn't fucking help at all, but they get an A+. That's him.
Yeah.
No, he's really, even when he has big games, like, it's not his doing. He's still Geno Smith. They have a good receiving core. The offensive line is good. They block the shit out of the fucking, that's like, when I look back on the Lions game, they punished. I really, even with 2 offensive tackles out, I thought the Lions were going to feast. They had a tough time against them. And I was like, man, maybe this defensive front for Detroit sucks, but they've proven otherwise since. So that line is good. They play well for Pete Carroll. His receivers are good. That defense is good. Geno is a fucking weak link there. And if you talk to a casual fan, they'll be like, yo, Geno fucking looks good, dude. No, dude, he doesn't look good. That dude does not look good ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, when he looks good is when he's like throwing some fucking weird, I shouldn't do this 40-yard bomb to DK or Lockett.
He just goes up and steals it.
He gets bailed out.
Yeah. That's
what he looks good doing. Or Walker. Kenneth Walker's like one of the most untackleable guys. I might have created a word there. That dude is a tough tackle. Like, he's a tough assignment. He's not quick. He kind of lumbers down the field, but like, everything is 2-3 guys. So I think Geno Smith is fortunate. I think Pete Carroll knows it. And, this team's tough, but I just don't know, man. I don't know about Geno. I don't know if this transpires into a playoff win.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned Kenneth Walker. You know who he reminds me of is Arian Foster. Arian Foster was never the fastest guy. Arian Foster was kind of a big-ish guy, right? Kind of a bigger body. Hard to bring down. What's that?
He ran big.
Yeah, he ran big. Hard to tackle. Couldn't bring him down. Kenneth Walker runs a lot like that. Zach Charbonnet, their backup running back, is also one of the hardest guys to tackle in the league, too. He just doesn't get a lot of run because of how good Kenneth Walker is.
He's what A.J. Dillon is supposed to be.
Yes, that's a perfect way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Seattle, sneakily, right? They're kind of reassembling what they had with Russ and the Legion of Boom because their DBs are pretty goddamn good too. Witherspoon held Jamar Chase to fucking like a catch for 3 yards this weekend. That's a day. And they don't travel. They never did with Sherm, and they still don't travel. So like Chase got yards on the other side of the ball, but Witherspoon looks like the fucking real deal. And now his name's eluding me, but they drafted another rookie last year who had as good a season as Sauce Gardner. What's that?
Tarek.
Yeah. They've got some good fucking secondary there, man. They're rebuilding that Legion of Boom, and if they can continue to get pass rushers in front of them, they might be replicating.
And they still have Diggs. I mean, like that is a formidable, good team. Good team besides their quarterback.
Yeah, that's kind of what Pete Carroll's MO is, right? Shifting gears to probably the biggest surprise of the week, right? And I know that Philly fans are going to get out there and they're going to say, oh, the Jets and blah, 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 blah. And I will say this, right? I have a Philly fan friend who, I don't think he watches the show, but I talk to him a lot about football. He was complaining that the Eagles were missing defensive backs, right? Which is fine, right, if you're missing defensive backs. But need I remind you, DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner didn't play in this game. DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner are both top 25 cornerbacks in this league. They were without those guys and beat Philly, who also was missing a bunch of guys in the defensive backfield as well. This is probably the biggest surprise because Deshaun Watson didn't play and PJ Walker started, not DTR, who started last week when Watson missed, but PJ Walker. For anybody who needs a reminder, he's the guy that threw the Hail Mary last year to DJ Moore in Carolina. He played at South Florida, was not a highly touted pick, was kind of a roster filler. Went out and beat the fucking undefeated 49ers this weekend. A lot of mistakes, a lot of injuries for the Niners, but dude, talk to me about this fucking Cleveland defense.
Do we remember that Hail Mary?
Yeah.
DJ Moore fucked them on that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, with his bullshit. So
and then they traded him away.
No, I mean, listen. While I still believe in San Francisco, we've talked about it many times. The Cleveland that line is elite.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
Listen, if you walked up to me in public and said, "Hey, Cleveland has the best defensive line in the NFL," I wouldn't even argue with you. Like, I might present some other options, but I'm not going to say no. I think maybe their biggest rival might be the team they just played, and I think they outplayed them. Myles Garrett, elite. I mean, it's like the video dog.
Yeah,
dog. The defense is just so good, and you're missing your two best offensive players.
Dalvin
right?
Tomlinson was.
You've got no Nick Chubb. You've got no Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
You've got no chance, and you just go out there, and I mean, it takes a 41-yard field goal miss from the Rook, but
he missed 2, and he'd been perfect coming into this game.
Yeah. And I mean, you get, McCaffrey gets hurt and Debo gets hurt. These are things. This is a occupational hazard with those two at this point, right? I mean, they get hurt every year. So I still think San Fran's that dude, but I mean, any given Sunday, baby, this is the NFL.
They avoided disaster, so reports are out that they're not long-term injuries to Debo or Christian McCaffrey or Trent Williams, who, let's not forget, he's the best left tackle in football. So, that's great news for them in terms of the long-term stability of the team and long-term health. But, I mean, this was basically Cleveland winning this game the only way they could, right? They had to disturb Brock Purdy, and they did. Brock Purdy looked like Mr. Irrelevant in this game, which – I don't want to play revisionist history too much, but let's not forget that before the injury in the NFC Championship game, Brock Purdy was getting fucked by the Eagles' defensive line, and he looked like dog shit. And to be honest, it might have saved some of his shine and mystique that he got hurt early in that game, because I fully believe that he was headed for fucking disaster. He was rattled. His feet were fucking happy. He was missing throws that he wouldn't miss normally. Didn't have a clean pocket. So we saw it again this weekend. If you can get to him, you're going to rattle him. Now, Shanahan's probably going to scheme it up and figure it out, and they'll be fine. But this was Cleveland winning this game in the only way that they could. They had to muddy it up. They had to make it a defensive struggle and rely on their defense. And I forget who it was, but it was someone in their secondary after the game that said, like, we are the best defense in the world, it might not be wrong, truthfully, after watching this game, because they were missing their starting quarterback, and they won this game against probably the prohibitive favorite to win the Super Bowl coming into this week.
Right, and Deshaun Watson's a pussy, dude. Like this dude is sitting out multiple weeks on an injury that he wasn't even supposed to miss a week for. So, like, maybe
probably hanging out with Ben Simmons playing fucking Call of Duty.
Take the shoulder. Here's an idea. Go to a massage therapist.
Yeah. Get
it figured out. You know where the fuck they are.
You know they are.
Yeah. A few times. Like, I mean, you and Robert Kraft have them on speed dial. Go. I will say this for Purdy because you were already kind of going at it. But, like, here's a few things. Mostert, Wilson, Mitchell. We talked about these running backs who could run behind that 49ers line for the past, half a decade here.
Yep.
Maybe a quarterback can survive back there too. Jimmy G did it. He's not very good.
Won a lot of games behind that offensive line.
Now listen, I'm not saying Brock Purdy's bad, but like maybe don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Because you might be in a desert somewhere with a bunch of weird fucking hippies. You don't wake up from this.
Yeah, for sure. That offensive line is the real deal. Kyle Shanahan is the real deal. We will see going forward if the proof is in the pudding, if the tape's out there and other defenses can replicate what the Cleveland Browns did, but I don't think they can replicate that front four because they are fucking murderers. Oh, moving on. Miami, Carolina. This was a little scary if you had Miami in a survivor pool. I did. For about fucking 7 minutes of this game, Carolina went up 14-0 early in this game, and I was like, son of a bitch. It was a good thing that I thought I had the Rams initially, and then I checked, and I was like, fuck, I've got the fucking Dolphins. But they end up coming back 42-21. We start to see the playmakers get loose, get real. A little bit of a scare from Tyreek Hill, kind of pulled up lame in this game, but stretched it out, and he was fine. Are the Dolphins the Chiefs' only competition in the AFC right now?
I don't know, man, because they still pulled up and kind of looked shitty against Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I mean,
they're beating the dog shit out of bad teams.
I mean,
they are beating the dog shit out of bad teams.
They will fucking boat race you all day. Yeah. I don't know if they can stop you if you slow the game down. That's going to be the concern. However, I didn't have them in the survival pool, so I was never worried when it was 14-0. I was like, oh shit,
yeah,
fucking Tyreek's getting some points here soon,
yeah, buddy.
And they did it. I'm not concerned, but I'll keep an eye. Yeah. We got to see. I saw some power rankings this week that have them number 1 now.
Yeah, that's a little bit of Kool-Aid, kind of like the Purdy Kool-Aid. I can't put Miami over Kansas City right now. I don't know that I could even put Miami over San Fran right now, despite the loss to Cleveland. Like, I don't know. They are formidable, though, if you do let them get loose. That's for goddamn sure. But like you said, if you slow the game down on them.
Power rankings,
If you slow the game down on them, though, as we saw Buffalo kind of bullied them a little bit and played some good defense against them. We'll see. We'll see going forward. Jacksonville, Indianapolis. Indianapolis announces this week, insult to injury, Anthony Richardson is likely to miss the rest of his rookie season. Looks like the Colts are a little bit of a flash in the pan early in the year, and they're going to be battling for a top 5 draft pick. Starting to look like Jacksonville's figuring it out. We've seen this now 3 weeks in a row. They're on a bit of a win streak. 2 games in London where it's basically a home game for them. And then this game here against a division foe. Pretty sound 17-point win. Travis Etienne, it seems that they've kind of figured out now that he's a dude. And he had a huge game against Indianapolis after two good weeks in London against Atlanta and against Buffalo. Has a huge game against Indianapolis. What are your takeaways from this game? Jacksonville, the real deal?
I mean, I played him 2 weeks ago. He had a fucking huge game then too.
Yep.
That's you.
Yep.
I think it was actually his career game. So cool. That was nice. Thanks for that. But no, yeah, I mean, I think Jacksonville's given us a bit of the Saints or the Bengals treatment.
Bengals, yeah.
That whole like let's keep them fucking guessing. We can start 4-4 and then rip off 8.
Yeah.
We'll see. We knew they're a good team. I mean, they're underachieving, culture overachieving a little to start the season. Things tend to level out as you get, I always like to say the first 2 or 3 weeks are weird, but it really might be the first 5 or 7 weeks.
Yeah.
The thing is the good teams have to win games in that span, or else you find yourself playing catch up.
Yep.
And if you end up in a good division or a good conference, might be too fucking late. We see it all the time. I mean, we see teams scraping at the end of the year. So
yeah.
I mean, I think the Jags are hitting it, and they've turned the corner a little bit, and the Colts are the Colts.
That defense is getting after the passer too. Josh Allen, the other Josh Allen, is having a great season.
The other Josh
Allen.
Imagine you got to deal with that.
Oh God, yeah. Saints, Texans, you and I took the L on this one. Raul was on Victory Island here, and he's not even here to peacock a little bit. Saints, Derek Carr, is he a bad quarterback?
Is he good? I feel like those are the same question.
Probably.
Is he bad? Is he good? I don't know. I don't know what he is.
They
know
should
he wears eyeliner.
On offense. Kamara's having a great start to the season, and they aren't doing anything to capitalize on it. They've got a top 5 defense right now, and they're doing nothing to capitalize on it.
I don't think Carr is very good. I don't think Michael Thomas is very good. I think Olave is – I hope he's suffering because of Carr and the rest of the offense, but maybe he's not as good as we thought. Kamara, has come back, nose ring and all, and he looks okay. They lost their complimentary back, Jamal Williams, early.
Yep.
I don't know, man. This feels like a team that's just walking down an endless hallway, right? Like they're lost, and there's no turn in the road to like, hey, we can correct this here. It's just like fucking miles worth of we don't know. And
yeah.
I mean, we're seeing
on the other sideline, though, my coach of the year candidate right now, my coach of the year favorite right now, leading Houston to a really, really good start. And this is a team that bottomed out bad after the Deshaun Watson debacle, had the first pick in the draft, traded back into the first round to get their pass rusher and their quarterback back into the top of the first round. CJ Stroud looks like the real deal. DeMeco Ryans, as I said, coach of the year right now, like today. I'm not saying by the end of the season we're going to be saying that as well, but right now he's my coach of the year. How good is this Houston team? How good can they be this year?
I don't think they can be that good, right? I mean, it would be great. DeMeco Ryans has done a great job. CJ Stroud should have been the first pick in the draft. I work with a Panthers fan who will tell you that religiously. He's been saying it since the start. He wanted CJ Stroud. They didn't go that way. That looks good. I couldn't believe he threw his first interception this week.
He's been good with the ball, dude. He's been really good with the ball.
Like, your good QBs usually struggle with turnovers, and he's not turning the ball over. They've got what's the receiver's name? Tank.
Yep.
Like that. Dude, this team
they've got 3 receivers, really.
And Dameon Pierce has been shit.
And Pierce hasn't had a good year. But Downs and Collins and Tank have all been good.
Downs is the other one.
Been good too.
And Nico Collins, So this team has
I think
a lot of sunshine and rainbows in their future, and they seem to have a really good coach, level-headed. Just that's what you need. I mean, you have to have that. No flash in the pan bullshit like I came from this fucking system, Matt Patricia bullshit. Like this is a guy who wants to coach football, who's good at coaching football. And, we're seeing the dividends.
Yeah, for sure. And I know coming into the season, I complained about a lot of rosters. When DeMeco Ryans got hired, I felt bad for him because he was coming into the worst situation in football, in my opinion, because it was a roster devoid of talent, terrible ownership, and they were going through the whole Deshaun Watson scandal of sorts, right? Dan Snyder's always one of the worst situations in football. He's gone now, but DeMeco Ryans has made a fucking diamond out of a turd, basically, at this point, and his ability to coach this team up, be a leader of men, I think is the biggest thing right now. And hats off to the GM, because the hardest thing to do in all of football, and we talked about this last week when we were talking about Belichick versus Brady, right? The quarterback position is the most important position in the sport of football. It looks like they got that figured out in year one under a new general manager and a new head coach. Holy fuck. Is that not like the dream scenario? We come in, new situation, and I get to figure out the most important position and look like a fucking genius as a GM. It's phenomenal for them. I think that they're potentially on the brink of maybe a run in the AFC South. We could see the Jags and the Texans be like the cream of the crop there back when, remember when like the Colts and the Jags were that, when it was Peyton Manning and David Garrard and Byron Leftwich, right, during Peyton Manning's run there, or when like the Titans were good back with Steve McNair. Like the AFC South had some dogs at the top of those divisions, or at the top of that division, and we might be right now on the brink of like Texans Jags might be that, because they both got young quarterbacks who look the part.
I just remember the Titans players back then fucking stomping the shit out of the terrible towels. Remember that? Who was their running back? Who was the big dude?
Eddie George?
No. He was.
Oh, no. That was the Lendell White era.
Lendell White. That was the dude.
Yeah. Lendell White and Chris Johnson.
Lendell White always reminded me of like Zach Randolph.
Thunder and lightning.
Yeah. Just that big fucking in your face. Like
Lendell White had the same role in college that he had in the NFL, because he played with Reggie Bush at USC.
Yeah, right. Like, I might run for 100 yards. I might fucking steal your chain.
Yeah. And I'm going to score 5 touchdowns from the one.
Talk shit the whole way. Yeah. He always reminded me of Zebo, man. Like that was like his NFL counterpart.
Junkyard.
Dude, just an asshole and in the best way possible.
Oh, Patriots, Raiders. Raul's on loser island for this one. He's not here so we can give him shit. It's a sinking ship in New England.
Yeah, they suck.
Is Belichick going to stick around for the rebound? Are they going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes suddenly? It's bad there. They have no offensive weapons. I feel bad for Mac Jones, but then I watch him and like he makes this bonehead once a week. He makes a bonehead play where he throws a ball and you're like, why'd you even throw that ball? They have no weapons, but he does make some bonehead plays. How bad is it right now for New England?
It could be frustration with Mac Jones. It could be maybe he's settling in. He's not that good. I don't know. The defense is the biggest enigma to me. Like that defense went from being like threatening to now, fuck it. Maybe they don't want to play. Maybe the offense sucks enough that they're just like,
quitting on them.
Okay, we're not. The quiet quit option. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this was a weird game, and I don't know about New England, man.
They got a lot of injuries on defense. I get that, but this is not. It's not good. It's not.
It's uninspired though. Like it's not just the injuries. Like they're not motivated to do their job.
It's not what you expect from a Bill Belichick coach team.
No, not at all.
The Raiders though, they quietly I think have found options, right? Jacoby Myers looks like a real number 2 behind Devontae Adams. Michael Mayer looks like he might be a replacement tight end for Darren Waller, who they lost, and who the Giants are treating as a third offensive tackle. But the Raiders are sneaky.
They wouldn't do that.
Yeah, right. If they can kind of figure out in-game management, because Josh McDaniels is one of the worst in-game managers in all of football, this team might be a 4-win team instead of a 4-loss team. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I go from thinking the Raiders can beat a good team to thinking the Raiders can't beat a bad team.
Yeah, they're an enigma,
back and forth, and week to week, we'll see. We'll see where they're at.
They still haven't figured out Josh Jacobs either, who led the league in rushing last year. That's weird.
I'm glad I stayed away from him.
Yeah, me too. All right, man. Maybe the sweetest victory island of all. I get to watch the Eagles lose, and I was the only one to pick the Jets. Yeah. It didn't look great for a while, but Jalen Hurts came through for me in the clutch through one of the nastiest picks you might ever see. you're nursing a lead on third down and you throw a ball, you throw a prayer to a receiver who's still streaking down the middle of the field. Jets end up scoring a touchdown. It looked like, hey, maybe they scored too early. I know Mark Sanchez went in hard about making them use their timeouts. Listen, Mark, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The Jets offense ain't good enough to sit there and play fucking fuck games with the clock.
fuck games. Also, Mark, we don't care what you think.
Yeah, mostly. We don't give a fuck what you think, Mark. But Jets pull out a big one, man. This is a huge win for them. It's a huge win for Zach Wilson, who it seems is like threatening to be an okay quarterback.
Ever since he ran into Kelsey's mom, right, in the booth.
Right. Cougar hunting.
So here, I mean, go off. You picked this.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I had a conversation today with an Eagles fan, and it's clear to me that he's kind of a casual Eagles fan because he didn't have a lot of retorts. But Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. I said it a lot last year. That gimmick offense from last year is not tricking defenses this year. Philadelphia, for like the 5th week in a row, I'm going to say it on this show, is not the boogeyman this year. The gimmicks aren't working except the tush push. I'll give you that. But they also do like 5 illegal things on that play that should be regulated.
No.
Yeah, never.
That's so legal.
Never.
It's legal.
But listen, I watched Jalen Hurts. He struggles to throw from the pocket. He struggles to throw on the run. And the only thing he's really doing this year is moving the ball with his legs. Even against Washington, who makes bad quarterbacks look really good, he didn't look that good. There were a couple plays here and there that kind of made the difference in that game. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. He misses wide open receivers. He misses guys all the time, makes bad decisions, holds on to the ball when he shouldn't. Even in the read option game, he's been making bad decisions this year and getting guys lit up or getting himself lit up. I don't know that he's going to survive the season, for one, but two, this offense is not tricking people this year. And the reason I picked the Jets to win this game is because the Jets have the defense that can exploit exactly that, right? You're trying to be a gimmick offense. Guess what? We've got better athletes at all 3 levels. We're better coached, and we're going to hit you in the fucking mouth. And that's what the Jets did all game. And they didn't quit, and they came back and won this game late. Philly's going through a tough stretch. I explained to that Eagles fan today, for 5 weeks, they've had the biggest cupcake schedule in all of football. Cupcake. Played really bad teams for 5 weeks. The first really good defense that they played beat the dog shit out of them. If the Jets had a good offense, right? Not Zach Wilson figuring it out, they might have boat raced the fucking Eagles. This was a game that the Eagles got exposed, and they've got a stretch now where they play the Niners, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Chiefs, and I think the Cowboys are in that stretch. We could be seeing the Eagles in about 5 weeks looking up at the Cowboys, who have like a 2-game lead on them. This is a really tough stretch for Philly, and we're going to learn a lot about whether or not they can figure out how to make this offense work.
Yeah, where do I want to start here? I have to disagree first and foremost. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback. I don't think that you think Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback.
I do.
You really do?
I'm sincere.
I don't believe you.
He's a good fantasy quarterback.
I know I'm not good about fantasy. Like I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's Jalen Hurts of like the last 2 seasons. I don't think he sucks though. Like I think he's better than half the league. You don't think he's better than half the league or no?
There's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the league.
Well, there are, but half the league. Do you think he's better than half the league?
Ooh, I'd have to go through a list. He's probably right in the middle.
Okay. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's the quarterback we saw last year. So I'll say that. I just need to get that in the open. The only other thing I have with this is I did this with Philly last year. They played a really easy schedule last year. And I was like, I don't know if this team, they're going to go into the playoffs. Everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. Mike Tyson.
Yep.
They're going to be out. And it didn't happen. And I was like, fuck, maybe I'm wrong. I do agree that this Philly team looks different than last year. However,
that was about me.
They played the lightest. What's that?
Leader's comment was about me.
I didn't even see it. They played a super. That was funny. Oh, okay. They played a super light schedule last year too, and we didn't see the fall off, come crunch time. So I just wonder, are we going to get more of the same? I do agree though. Like Hurts isn't the Hurts from last year. I don't think he's bad though. I'm not committed to that.
I think he makes up for a lot of deficiencies with his feet, which probably keeps him in that middle tier. But if he wasn't a running back playing the quarterback position, I think he's a bottom 6 quarterback.
Right, well,
I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL if he can't run the ball.
Let's do an exercise. Okay. Hold on. I gotta pop it up real quick. I should already have this loaded. I knew I was going here.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to agree or disagree with any.
Jalen Hurts is Justin Fields with weapons. I'll say it. Justin Fields with weapons.
I'm not going to agree or disagree with any of these things that I say. Okay? I'm just gonna go better or worse.
Okay.
It's Jalen Hurts edition, right? Real quick, because Raul would be so mad.
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Worse.
Kirk Cousins.
Worse.
We knew that answer. Matt Stafford.
Worse.
CJ Stroud.
It's too early.
You got to pick.
He's better because he's a veteran.
Okay. Jared Goff.
Worse. Pat
Mahomes.
Yeah, way worse.
Josh Allen.
Worse.
Sam Howell.
Better. He's a veteran. Better. He's a veteran.
Okay. Trevor Lawrence.
Howell's a better quarterback this year than Jalen Hurts, though. Like, let's not get it twisted. Howell's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts.
He's behind him, though.
Behind him in what?
Like quarterback, like the quarterback measurables. That's what I'm using.
What measure?
Go down the list.
What measurable you want?
Just NFL.com, like the stats.
Okay.
So I skipped Hurts right between Allen and Howell, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay.
So Trevor Lawrence.
Comparable.
Brock Purdy.
Probably better because I believe that Purdy is really hidden by Kyle Shanahan. Okay, but I also think that Hurts is hidden by a lot of things too.
Desmond Ridder.
Better. Ritter's terrible.
Justin Herbert.
Worse.
Dak Prescott.
Worse.
See your face for this one.
Worse
than Prescott.
I do.
Really?
Prescott can fucking make plays with his arm.
I didn't expect to hear that. Russell Wilson.
Better.
Derek Carr.
Better.
Lamar Jackson.
Worse.
Joe Burrow.
Worse.
Joshua Dobbs.
Better.
Mac Jones.
Better.
Justin Fields.
Better. He's the same guy.
Geno Smith.
Better at this point, probably.
Ryan Tannehill.
Better.
Zach Wilson.
Better. Although he just lost to him.
He did just Baker Mayfield.
A little better.
Okay. I didn't count necessarily, but I think
he's probably around 18 to 20.
I think you had him right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I don't know, man. I watch him when he's got to make a play with his arm, and he doesn't make the play more often than he makes the play. It's like early in Mahomes' career before he became Patrick Mahomes, right? He was throwing to guys that were just streaking by themselves, and he couldn't miss them, right? That's what Hurts was last year. That's not what the Eagles are getting this year. The gimmick offense isn't working this year. Defenses are playing them differently, and he's not good. He's not good this year.
Fair.
Yeah. Dak ran pretty good last night. Dak made some plays with his legs last night too. Yeah.
Chargers.
For sure. Hey, you ain't gonna get a disagreement out of me. They're run by Brandon Staley.
I don't know how much credit to give them.
Yeah. All right, let's get back on track here. We established my hatred for Hurts. Whether justified or not, I still think he's a bad quarterback. We agree to disagree on Jalen Hurts.
I did that whole experiment for the Dak part.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But that was the highlight of my night.
Yeah, I had to admit Dak was better than somebody. All right. Detroit, Tampa Bay. This was an interesting game. Tampa Bay's got a good defense, and they were able to stymie the run game for the Lions. Now they lost Montgomery early, and Gibbs didn't play last night. But Tampa Bay was able to take away the run. Tampa Bay was never able to get the offense going, and I think that speaks to a lot of what you mentioned a moment ago, that we weren't sure after the Seattle game whether or not Detroit's defensive line was good. They're good. They're good. Yeah. Talk to me about this game, man. This was Detroit catching the top of the NFC because both San Francisco and Philly lost. We got 3 up there at 5-1 now, and guess what? Detroit's one of them.
I mean, yeah, they're. I listen. I love the 5-1. I still think that I don't think they've really played anybody great. I do love the fact that they're going out there, and not only are they playing the teams in front of them. I did have to point out to a guy earlier, like, they're not just beating the teams they're supposed to. They're dominating these teams. So Tampa Bay converted 3 times on third down. That's Detroit's bugaboo, is the third and long. 3 times on third down. They didn't get in the end zone. They had a pair of field goals. Baker Mayfield did overthrow some wide open receivers. I watched it with my own fucking eyes. He's not a great quarterback.
Nope.
He's a manageable quarterback. However, Tampa's defense is good. They are good. I mean, Detroit coming in the game banged up. They got Montgomery. After that, they have Reynolds. Reynolds is a third string. They're without their fourth string. He's out for the season. They were without Gibbs. They had a guy from the practice squad up for their third string. He never really got any carries. I think Detroit's resilient. That's what I'm seeing so far. Like, I'm not used to that. I've never seen it before in my life. They're very resilient. Their run game, which is what they want to do. This is why so many fantasy owners are mad at the Lions over Gibbs, because they want to run the ball a lot in volume. They want to run up the middle. They want to play tough football. Montgomery's that guy. When they couldn't do that, they just leaned on Goff. They let Goff throw the ball, threw it to Amon-Ra a lot. They're figuring out ways to win, and I think that's probably the biggest silver lining I've ever had as a Lions fan, is that hey, this is what we want to do. It's shut down. We can't do it. Switch, like, next man up. And they're playing. I mean, there's not much more that can be said about the injuries that they're playing with every week. They were without Amon-Ra. They've been without Montgomery a couple games now. Without Gibbs a couple of games, without Branch a couple of games. Jerry Jeudy missed a game. Frank Ragnow missed a game. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has missed some games. He's only played a week and a half. Emmanuel Mosley was another guy we brought in. He played his first game after a torn ACL, tore his other ACL. Like that. I mean, they're banged up, man. I mean, this is Dan Campbell.
This is MCDC, baby.
It is the epitome of believing in what you have and getting your players to believe in what you have. And I'm going to tell you, we've never seen this in Detroit. Not since I've been a fan. It's a breath of fresh air, and hopefully it continues. This is probably the toughest matchup we have coming into Baltimore next week. First time Detroit's been the underdog since like week 2.
Yeah.
Against Seattle when they lost. So let's see, man. Let's go. Got to go into Baltimore and beat what I think is a mediocre team. I think Baltimore is good, but I don't think they're great.
Yeah. One, this team epitomizes. They have taken on the personality of their coach. That's clear. The way that they approach the game, the way they approach adversity, for sure. I just want to give a quick stat line that probably is something I wouldn't have expected in a game that Detroit didn't run the ball well. So they asked Jared Goff to go 30 of 44 for 353 and 2 tugs. He came through. He came through in a situation that Jared Goff historically in his career would probably have folded. In games that Jared Goff has thrown 40 to 45 attempts in his career, he's got a pretty bad record. Detroit has a bad record since he went to Detroit in games where he's had to throw it 40 to 45 times. I think they're like 1-4 or something like that, and he's like 2-7, I think was the line in his career, 2-7 or 2-8 in games where he's had to throw 40 or more times. They won against a good defense, against a really good pass defense, because they've got guys up front that can get after the passer, and they've got a good secondary. Jameson Williams showed what Jameson Williams could be, right? That ability to track that ball that was thrown over his inside shoulder when he was looking over his outside shoulder, that's not something you can teach. That's natural. That's elite ball tracking skills, and that shows why Jameson Williams is such a great deep ball threat. He's still getting healthy. He could be a guy that's really going to challenge defenses when he gets the ball in his hands in the middle of the field. He's not there yet, but Goff was pretty awesome. And if they've got weapons in waiting, like Jameson Williams could be for them, this offense could go to another level with a guy that can really challenge over the top, because they don't have that guy. Amon-Ra St. Brown, excellent underneath, excellent slot guy, excellent with the ball in his hands, excellent after the catch. But if they've got a guy that can really go and take the top off the defense, that can really change an offense. So Montgomery coming back after the injury. Hopefully it's not super long-term. I know Dan Campbell doesn't sound too optimistic for the next week or two.
Couple weeks, yeah.
So
weeks. Actually, the coolest thing I forgot to mention real quick, just while I'm in my glory, is Craig Reynolds, the third string running back, who we got to see a lot of after Montgomery went down with no Gibbs. They showed a war room thing from last year where Campbell was like, they were discussing just like, are we sad if we lose this guy, if we cut Craig Reynolds, okay? And the other coaches to like jump in and be like, no, we don't want to lose him. It's a third string running back.
Yeah.
And then he sets that fucking block.
Oh, dude.
That frees Amon-Ra.
Dude.
He's not a big guy.
No. That's all balls.
Block.
That's all balls.
And like there was one of Detroit's it was like an offensive line coach was like, no, that's he's one of the guys we want. This was last year. One of the guys we want.
Yeah.
And it just proves that tree. I think maybe in a couple of years we'll see the Dan Campbell tree. I would love to see it. We need something out of Detroit, but I think finally these guys know how to coach football in Detroit. And Sheila Hamp couldn't have taken over at a better time, because Martha Ford, her fucking mother, fucked that franchise for a lot of years.
She really did. All right. Onward to a former Detroit quarterback who got his boy back last week, and they flourished this week. Kupp went 13 catches for 153 yards and a tug. Beat up on the Cardinals. Jesus Christ. The Rams here. They look like they might be a potential wild card team. And I know you were on them pretty early in the season. I'm gonna kind of give you the floor here. Talk to me about the Rams and Matthew Stafford and kind of what we're seeing from this team.
I don't even know if it was a love for the Rams as much as I thought it was a disservice that the general population was giving to the Rams. I mean, to kind of call this team dead in the water a couple of years removed from a Super Bowl victory, when you still have Aaron Donald, you still have pros like Matt Stafford, you have Cooper Kupp coming back. Obviously, nobody could predict, the emergence of Puka Nacua. They had some hard times at running back coming in, but they seem to have figured that out. Like this is a team that I just more so than anything coming into this season, I felt like they were disrespected. It wasn't even so much where I was like, I like the Rams. I love what they're doing. I think their roster is great. I held them to teams like Seattle, and that was their week 1 matchup. And I said, well, Seattle's getting all this love, and everybody's going fucking goo goo gaga for for Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks, but we're also shitting on the Rams at the same time. And why are the Rams a worse team than Seattle? They're not. That's really the short story here. This is what we've picked up, 6 weeks into the season, that Seattle can play football. They did get a bit of a gift in Puka Nacua. I mean, that held them over while we were waiting for Kupp to come back. But, when we're comparing them to these other teams who we expect to be marginally good, again, like the Seahawks, why are they worse? They're not. That's the short answer is they're not worse than these teams. I think they're in the thick of it. I didn't necessarily think that they might be able to compete for a wild card, but I thought rather than a 4-win team that maybe they were a 7-win team. And I think they're showing us that maybe they're a 9-win team.
Yeah. 9 probably gets you a wild card in this bad NFC too. So this NFC is good at the top. We've got 3, maybe 4 teams that really have kind of asserted themselves as the best in the NFC. And then it's a lot of fucking mediocrity from 5 onward. And 9 wins might get you a wild card. I like a lot of the points you made there. They've got weapons. Aaron Donald is still a man on that defensive side of the ball. And I think we let some of the talking heads fool us maybe into believing that this was going to be a really bad defense, but they've done a pretty good job of restocking the cupboards there. They're not the Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Dante Fowler defense that they were during their Super Bowl run, where they've just got guys at all 3 levels. But this team has reloaded on the defensive side of the ball. They're getting better in the secondary. The linebackers are playing well. They're playing fast. And Aaron Donald is still a fucking game wrecker. If he ever retires, it's going to be a sad day because he's just so fun to watch. But on the offensive side of the ball, they're healthy this year. That's the big thing with last year. They were not healthy at all on the offensive side of the ball. They had so many injuries on the offensive line, an offensive line that took a hit with a couple of retirements / guys leaving town after the Super Bowl run, that it was a mess last year for them. And Stafford paid the price. He wasn't healthy most of the year. He got nicked up, tried to play through it a lot. Then at the end of the year, they kind of just said, hey, we're gonna kind of walk away from this and we'll save Stafford for next year. But I think in reality, we kind of let some of the talking heads convince us that they weren't supposed to be good this year. They've still got some talent. Stafford's still got some juice left in the arm. And in case you were wondering, Cooper Kupp is still that guy, that fucking guy.
And nobody wants to draw a first round match with Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp on one side and Aaron Donald on the other. That's you. Nope. You get a home game and you're like, fuck, we got to play these guys.
Play the Rams.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
For sure. All right, onward to maybe the ugliest game of the week. Kansas City, Denver was fairly sloppy, grind fest, but this was just plain ugly. And I'm still trying to figure out who Josh Allen is after the 13 seconds game. Last season, we saw it quite a bit where he had these careless plays, these careless turnovers, and we're wondering, are you just going to kind of fix it before the playoffs and start being safe with the ball, making big plays, be the Josh Allen that we saw during that run up to the 13 seconds against the Chiefs? But he's not been a lot different this year. With a couple of exceptions, he was really, really good against Washington. I've already made my point about how we always make quarterbacks look good. Imagine having some talent and playing this defense. And then looked really good against the Dolphins. In division foe, maybe the Dolphins are more of an enigma than we want to admit that they are because of how much they've been able to score against some bad teams. But watching Josh Allen this weekend and watching this Bills offense, I don't want to shoulder it all on Josh Allen because I think most of it does fall on him. But also, like, Ken Dorsey should not be coaching an NFL offense because that offense was clearly the plays he was phoning in to Josh Allen. He must have just gone to Josh and been like, hey man, draw something up in the dirt and just make a play, because they had no sort of like rhythm, no sort of like approach. It felt like they were just kind of like throwing shit against the wall against a really bad Giants team, and they almost paid the fucking price for it. Realistically, they probably should have lost this game if Tyrod Taylor hadn't fucked up with clock management at the end of the first half and Brian Daboll fucked up with game management at the end of the fourth quarter. This Giants team might have knocked off this Bills team, and we might be sitting here wondering, like, are the Bills going to win their division? Is this a playoff team? Is the run over? Right? We might be asking those questions. And Stephon Diggs might be asking questions of Brandon Beane, like, where are you sending me? Because we've seen this fucking song and dance from Stephon Diggs, and we heard the rumors in the offseason. I'm really curious. What are your thoughts coming away from this game? It was ugly.
I thought there should have been another play.
Yeah.
That's where I stand. I mean, that was pretty blatant on that final play. Yeah. I mean, the Giants still have to get in, but that was enough for me to – I want to stop seeing the Chiefs get all the calls, bullshit every week. Like, I'm over it, because you get a gift there. That's, it's –
They made the call on the play before, and it was almost like – remember the Legion of Boom, how, like, they would just be like, we're going to do it all game. You're not going to call it on every play. Maybe you'll get it a couple of times. That's what it felt like. The refs were just like, we can't call it on 2 straight plays.
Right. That's how I used to feel about, like, the Luol Deng, Jakeem Noah Chicago Bulls when they had Derrick Rose in his prime. Like, that team would beat the shit out of you.
Yep.
And they just forced the referees to make a decision. The Indiana Pacers with, like, Roy Hibbert, Danny Granger, Paul George of that time were the same team. I digress. Despite that, like, Josh Allen, this is Josh Allen. Like, I think that at this point, we have to assume, well, not assume, we have to know.
We just have to accept.
This is what it is. You're either getting a top 2 quarterback or you're getting a bottom 5 quarterback. That's what you're getting. It's peaks and valleys. And I think the willingness to take risks and play dangerous football is probably what makes Josh Allen so good, but it's also what makes Josh Allen have the big pitfalls. So I think as Bills fans, as NFL fans, we're going to have to deal with the fact that we might see greatness or we might be really fucking disappointed in what we walk away with. Like that Jets game. Jets game's week 1 that was the worst of Josh Allen. So if he's still having these games this far into his career, that's who he is. That's going to be who he is, and you're going to have to deal with the good and the bad.
Yep, for sure.
Sorry, Bills fans. I don't know what to tell you. The good's really fucking great.
It is fucking really good. Yeah. I do want to – I know I bitched about this a lot Sunday, and I'll be transparent, right? I have Darren Waller in 2 fantasy leagues. One's a dynasty league, and I don't know what the Giants are doing. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Just find some bread and butter and stick with it. I don't know, man. I don't know how to fix the offense. Ken Dorsey ain't the answer. He wasn't the answer last year. But I want to talk about the Giants and Brian Daboll and kind of what that is, because I talked a lot last year and in this year's preview about the fact that, like, the Giants were winning games last year on, like, unicorn farts and fairy dust and Brian Daboll, like, throwing duct tape at the fucking ground and, like, something sticks, right? They haven't changed anything. It's almost like they went into this offseason and were like, yeah, we're just going to fucking run it back.
They did. That is what they did.
Right? And it's not good. You don't win 1-score games at the rate that they won them last year, right? You talked about it with the Vikings, and you've been right. They're losing 1-score games this year. The Giants are losing 1-score games this year. You don't win them at that rate in the NFL on a normal basis, right? There's always going to be some sort of regression to the mean. Same thing with turnovers, right? You may get a bunch of turnovers one year. You often regress to the mean. And that's what we're seeing with the Giants. But one thing that perplexes me is, like, Brian Daboll is misusing almost his entire offense, but specifically Darren Waller. And Darren Waller has to get in the locker room after the game and, like, open up his bank account and be like, This is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm doing it, because he's pass blocking on third and goal. They're inside the 10-yard line. They're at the 8 for this particular play. He's pass blocking. Maybe the second best goal line option at the tight end position in the NFL. He's pass blocking. Pass blocking. He's definitely top 3 or 4, maybe the second best.
I was trying to think where I thought he was. I mean, short answer is top 5 for sure.
For sure, right? So fine, top 5, right? He's in the top 10% of the league. He's pass blocking, dude, on a third and goal from the 8. You're not running, right? It's not like he's run blocking and trying to help the running. You're passing the ball, and Darren Waller is a blocker from inside the 10. That play tells me everything I need to know about the fact that I'm very happy that the Giants are so invested in Daniel Jones and Brian Daboll, because that means they're going to be irrelevant for the next 3 years. That is the worst utilization of any asset maybe in the history of the NFL, period. It is absurd. I'm almost sorry for Giants fans, but I'm not, because they're Giants fans and they're in that division.
Just say it. Fuck them.
Fuck them. But that is gross misutilization of an asset. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I want him to get targets in the red zone, right? But it's bad. You don't have that guy. He's one of the best receiving tight ends in football and one of the worst blocking tight ends in football. And you've got him pass blocking on third and goal.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. All right. Finishing up the week, Dallas and the Chargers. Really fun game last night. Really interesting game. You and I had the Chargers. Raul rode with his Cowboys. Brandon Staley did Brandon Staley things again last night.
Mike McCarthy did all he could to lose the game.
Neither of them wanted to win it. Neither coach wanted to win this fucking game. Terrible. The one thing for me, my big takeaway from this is Justin Herbert looked very pedestrian last night.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on with him.
He's done that a few times this year.
Yeah, it's weird, right? He has like this game where you're like, Jesus Christ, is Justin Herbert even an NFL quarterback? And then probably next week he's going to throw for 5 tugs. But he missed Keenan Allen on 2 unbelievably open throws that, like, Justin Herbert should not miss those throws last night. Is this more about the Cowboys bouncing back from a terrible, terrible loss, or is this more about like the Chargers are just not a good team?
I mean, I think it's more about the Cowboys. I think we got to the point with the Cowboys after last week where we're, they suck. Now it's like the ultimate. No, they don't actually suck. They're a pretty good football team. And they're a pretty good defense, too, which might play into Herbert's troubles.
Sure.
You and I think we're trying to manifest Eckler into some fantasy after that early season vacation he took. Listen,
I also was trying to manifest Herbert because I was chasing.
Sure.
I was chasing in the Dynasty League, and I had a chance.
I needed 22 points out of Herbert or out of Eckler, and I was like, it's fucking doable.
Yeah.
Like 22? Like, I can do that? And he got me like 2. I don't know.
The Cowboys aren't good against the run. That's the other thing. Kellen Moore refused to run the ball.
You know what? I knew it was over with? The pre-game scuffle, and he got his helmet knocked off.
Yeah.
And I saw people like Dave Portnoy was like, Eckler's running for 150 yards tonight. I'm like, nah, dude, fuck Eckler. Suck. His little light-skinned ass ran back, and he was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
I'll take another 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
I am out of faith as far as Austin Eckler is concerned, and I'm probably going to eat those words because he'll probably be fine as a fantasy option. But he's
pissing me off.
He's pissed me off to the point where he's Christian McCaffrey to me now, and I can't have to draft him again. And McCaffrey did this to me a few years ago.
Yep.
And he's untouchable now. Like I can't. I'll probably won't keep him again. I mean, So there you go. You're in the league. He's on the market next year. I've decided.
Yeah, I felt really good after the 2 opening drives because I had Herbert, who threw a touchdown on the first drive, but I also had over 24.5 in the first half. and they scored 14 in the first 7 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And it finished 10-7 at the fucking half.
Despite McCarthy on the sidelines trying to fuck the game up, dude, because he's
so terrible.
Mike McCarthy sucks.
That didn't go well for me at all. I will say this, though. There were times last night where Dak looked like he figured out some of his kind of gun-shy issues, made some really nuts throws, made some nails throws. The one he threaded into the end zone, I believe it was the touchdown to the tight end Ferguson, maybe. I don't know. And then the throw he made to Cooks where he floated it to the back corner. Those were really good throws. He looked so bad against San Francisco. Looked much better last night against the Chargers. And if that defense continues to play the way they played against Justin Herbert last night, they got a real chance at winning this division. And I know, like, Raul was like, you tried to fucking curse the Cowboys. I know what you're doing by picking them. They got a real chance to win this division, especially with the stretch the Eagles are facing right now.
He's, Raul's probably mad they won.
He might be.
He might be upset. He's like, fuck, Dak played okay? Shh, this is bullshit.
Yeah. All right, well, let's hit real quick. Most important part of the episode. We dedicate every episode to a fallen service member. We call it our Folds of Honor Salute to Service. All right, this week's episode goes out to Air Force Captain Ryan S. Phaneuf. He died January 27, 2020, serving during Operation Freedom Sentinel. At the time of his passing, Captain Phaneuf was 30 and hailed from Hudson, New Hampshire. He died in a crash of his bomber E-11A in Ghazni Province, Afghanistan. His decorations included a Commendation Medal from the Air Force. Air Force Captain Ryan Phaneuf, we have the watch. All right, bud. Well, let's tear this Band-Aid off and make the transition over to week 7 here. So right out the gates, we have a lock alert. And it really shouldn't be a super surprising lock alert. I think the more surprising part is that Jacksonville is a 3-point dog against New Orleans. All three of us have money line Jacksonville here, but you're locking in Jacksonville +3?
Yeah. Like, I think they're going to win the game. So, like, it's insane to me that they're the dog, A. B, I mean, listen, I don't even know. To me, this line should be like 5 for Jacksonville, right?
Ooh. That'd be spicy in New Orleans, yeah.
I'm cool with it. I think New Orleans defense is, well, it's good. It seems hot and cold. Like, it seems sometimes they go out there and they give up 20 points. They do that to Jacksonville. I don't think they have enough to score on them. I could see a real, 24-10 scenario, 24-13 scenario, something like that. So that's what I'm banking on. I just think Jacksonville wins, and I think it's probably by more than the field goal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to me. So, like, traditionally, for those out there that may not wager a lot, traditionally home field advantage is a field goal in the NFL, right? So what this line tells me is that Vegas has set this to the point that if this was a neutral field, say they were playing in London, this would be a pick'em game.
Yeah.
Which is surprising to me because I feel like Jacksonville at home is probably a 5.5-point favorite. I feel like Jacksonville on a neutral site should be a field goal favorite, right? I'm surprised by this line. I love that you locked this in as your lock. I'm confident in us being in lockstep, all having picked Jacksonville. Give me Jacksonville money line. I'm probably going to wager that this weekend because I'm going to get some juice. It's, I think, plus 145, I believe, is what 3 points will get you. So you're getting almost 1.5 on your money. I'm in. I love this pick from you in terms of making it your lock, and I was satisfied to see that we are all in lockstep on Jacksonville because New Orleans offense doesn't feel like they've got it figured out. Jacksonville, on the other hand, feels like over the last 3 weeks they've got it figured out on both sides of the ball, really. So I'm with you. Lock it in. +3, Jacksonville. If you're feeling froggy, set that money line, take the juice. Jacksonville.
Are they getting shit on a little because they're coming back?
They were at home. They were stateside last week.
Oh, they were stateside last week.
Yeah, they were
stateside last
week. I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I'm with you. Take the 3 points and fucking catch that check. All right, shifting gears. Cleveland, Indianapolis. I don't have a lot to defend myself on this. This is a gut feeling. This is me thinking Deshaun Watson's not going to play again. This is me thinking that Indianapolis has maybe just enough at home to beat Cleveland. Cleveland had San Francisco at home, all the injuries. I believe in Minshew in terms of being able to manage this offense. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to get more exposure this game as the season goes. He's going to get more and more, and I think we're going to start to see that this game. Zach Moss has been great. Feels like they could have a 1-2 punch for real out of the backfield. This is more about Cleveland, I think, not being able to score points this week. I hope I'm wrong, though, because I have to play Jerome Ford in a league because of buys. I've been iffy because they haven't seemed to really been giving him the rock a lot. But give me Jerome Ford. He broke that big one off last week. I know that changed his fantasy day, but they've been weird about volume in that backfield. So I don't know. I'm probably going to be wrong on this one. Now that I actually have to look at this on fucking paper, I'm like, God, why did I pick that?
And Kareem Hunt had an all right game too.
I know.
Now, you went Deshaun Watson not going to play. I think Deshaun Watson is going to play.
Okay.
That was really my coin flip on it. I was kind of 50-50 and I expect him to be back. I expected him to be back last week. So, I didn't expect him to miss a week at this point. So, who the fuck knows? But,
yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I hate myself for picking this now that I have to actually look at it. Buffalo, New England, probably not a lot on this one. Josh Allen can't turn the ball over in this game. Bill Belichick's going to try. They're hurting in the secondary. I don't think they can keep up with those receivers from Buffalo. I just want to see them get other people involved. Diggs had 16 targets and like 13 catches on those 16 targets last week. You got to get somebody else involved offensively.
Yeah, wrap it up. This fucking shit's over, dude. New England is. I've just lost all faith in them. And
yep.
Let's get the young guy involved. If you're Buffalo, I think getting Kincaid into your game plan would be great.
Yeah.
I think he was the wrong pick.
Yeah. I just don't think Dorsey can include a tight end in his game plan.
I don't see it from Kincaid.
No?
I think he's okay. I don't think he sucks, but I went into this draft believing, and again, people are gonna, you're a Lions fan. I thought Sam Laporta and I thought Musgrave were the best 2 tight ends in this draft.
Yeah.
And then the Bills, Kincaid worked his way up the boards. It wasn't just the Bills. That was a real thing.
He won the underwear Olympics. He's a super athletic guy.
He's athletic as fuck, but that doesn't make your bones. I mean,
no.
Devin Hester was the fastest guy on earth, and he couldn't play wide receiver.
Right.
So
he couldn't play DB or wide receiver. They tried him at both.
I mean, it's like I believe in the athleticism of Kincaid, but you have to be a football player first.
Yeah.
And I think that's what these other guys are. Is they're football players. They can block a little bit. They run routes.
Go figure. A guy from Iowa is the best tight end in the draft. Right?
Well, I mean, George Kittle told everyone, and
George Kittle, then T.J. Hawkinson, and
watching the Lions war room, and they were like, "Yeah, we thought Laporta was the best guy on the board." So, I mean, it says a lot, and I just, again, not to toot that horn necessarily. It's more about what I don't see from Kincaid, and I just, as a football player, I don't think he's put it all together yet.
Yeah, and they don't do a lot to try to get him involved either to help him figure it out.
Well, they have Knox too. I mean, it's just this is a team that throws to Diggs a lot.
Yep.
You know, I don't know. Get the young kid the ball. Give him some juice. Give him 6 targets.
Right? Jesus. Washington and the Giants, and I'm going to be transparent. I waffled on this because we lose at MetLife. We lose to the Giants at MetLife historically. However, the Giants have been kicking the tires on quarterbacks who haven't played in over a calendar year this week because Daniel Jones is unlikely to play, and I don't think that they think that Tyrod Taylor is the answer to try to win a football game, so they've been trying to kick the tires on. I think Dable is really pissed at Tyrod about the first half. I think he's really mad at him about that. It's personal at this point, but I couldn't do it because the Giants are playing some really, really bad football right now. But I will just full disclosure, disclaimer out there. I waffled on this because what we do is lose at MetLife against the Giants. What are you looking at over there?
Jen, she just showed me your tits.
Nice. She's trying to get you off the episode?
I guess.
Shit.
Oh, I wasn't? No. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that.
I hear you over there, Rakers.
You're on the show.
You got anything on Giants, Washington?
Honestly, I waffled on this a little bit too. I came to the same conclusion with the quarterback thing. I said it earlier. I don't know who Washington is. I'm having trouble, and
I don't think Washington knows who Washington is.
No, I don't think so either. Dan Snyder might be able to figure it out, but they just somebody. The quarterback situation is definitely a desperate one, and we'll see. Washington should win this game. Should. I agree. All right. Detroit, Baltimore. I am on the island here. Call it a gut feeling. I don't like that they're missing Montgomery this week. I do love what Goff did last week in a game that they lost Montgomery in the game. I think Baltimore is better in terms of their exotic coverages and their ability to kind of neutralize threats on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know that Baltimore is going to score any points against Detroit. This is a gut feeling pick for me. This is all it is. Baltimore at home, no Montgomery. It's just a gut feeling pick. That's all it is. Yeah, I'm on it, man. I'm riding it. I've caught some Baltimore action. I haven't watched the whole game. There was the Browns game I watched some of. I don't know. I don't know how good this team is. I don't know how good Lamar Jackson doesn't look very good. I will tell you, Detroit's coming in as the best run defense in the NFL this year, by and large, actually. But I do see them struggle against mobile quarterbacks. I saw Bryce Young do it a little bit, not necessarily in running the ball upfield, but in creating space, creating opportunities. So I feel like maybe Lamar can do some of that. However, the Montgomery thing is big thing. I think they'll get Gibbs back this week. I think they'll get Brian Branch back this week. That team has been the epitome to me of next man up, getting the job done. I spoke of it earlier. I believe in this process at this point, and I think I do think Detroit's a better team. So even on the road, they've been good on the road too. They've really just the only game they lost was at home.
Yep.
So I'm feeling it, man. I'm riding the wave.
Yeah, and listen, this is a 3-point spread. So Vegas clearly has this as 2 evenly matched teams, right? Like I mentioned a moment ago, field goal is what you get on your home turf, right? So this is a pick'em game on a neutral site. Vegas feels that's how close these two teams are. I believe that Detroit's the better team. I will agree with you on that. This is truly gut feeling. Baltimore at home, big time opponent coming in. They play a lot of black and blue football. I don't know. I just feel like this is a game. This is one of those games that John Harbaugh and staff get the guys up for. 5-1 Detroit coming into town. Let's show some pride. Maybe just gut feeling. That's all it is.
No, I agree absolutely. I think they're going to be up to the task. I think this is a team that's historically, at least in the last 15 or 20 years, been known for their defense more than anything. Detroit's new to that category, so I think. Listen, I thought it last week. The first couple of possessions, I was like, man, this Tampa defense is trouble, and they responded, and I
weathered the storm.
I think we're gonna see a lot of the same this week. So let's get it optimistic.
Yeah. Vegas and Chicago. Raul is on the island here. I have to believe that he thinks Justin Fields is going to play. There is an outside shot that he plays. Otherwise, they're in pretty bad hands with their backup quarterback. However, the Raiders will also be playing a backup quarterback. Brian Hoyer is expected to start for the Raiders. The difference between Vegas going to Brian Hoyer and Chicago going to a guy whose name I can't remember that I looked up just earlier today is that Brian Hoyer has won games in the NFL. That's for me, that's the biggest difference. Without Fields, I don't think Chicago has a chance. Vegas isn't as bad as I think they've looked at times this year, although I don't know if they're good, right? I just don't know with this team. I do know what I know with Chicago, and that is if Fields isn't going, this team sucks, and he's not probably going to be on the field to go. So give me Vegas in probably a slop fest against Chicago.
Yeah, I don't expect Fields to play either. That was really the basis of my pick. So, fuck it. And also fuck the Bears.
Tampa, Atlanta. We've got a lock from Raul. Raul has the Bucks -2.5, I believe, is what the number is. Let me double check that real quick. 2.5 for the Bucks. I'm giving up 2.5 points. He's not here to kind of talk through his process, but I think finally I may have convinced Raul that Atlanta is a really bad team, or maybe Washington pulling out an ugly win against them.
Believe it or not, this was actually almost my lock.
Yeah. Atlanta sucks.
I mean, I think the Bucks are a field goal or more better.
Yep.
In Atlanta. So.
Yeah. This is Bucks -2.5. Yep. So, I'm with you. Atlanta's not good. I think the Bucks eventually at the end of this season are probably going to be the class of this NFC South, because I'm not confident anymore that the Saints are going to figure it out on offense. The Saints play a really cupcake schedule. They had coming into the season, they had the worst strength, the best in terms of the weakest strength of schedule. And that was why I picked them to win this division. That was the main reason I picked them to win this division. They've dropped some games against bad teams, and the Bucks have played really good football against some good teams. So as long as Baker Mayfield can find Mike Evans a couple of times, I think the Bucks are going to be a good team, and Atlanta's bad.
Yeah, it's kind of a joke, right?
Yeah. Pittsburgh and the Rams. I waffled a little bit because of this Pittsburgh defense. I don't trust their offense. I think the pass rush is what could give LA problems, but Stafford's got his binky back with Cooper Kupp. He's going to be able to get the ball out quick. I expect Cooper Kupp to have a pretty good game against this Pittsburgh defense, and I don't think Pittsburgh is going to score any points against this LA defense.
Well, that's just it. I don't think they can score points. So
if LA can get 4 field goals, they probably win this game.
Right. I was going to say 10 points. 12 is even better.
10 might be enough for sure. Seattle, Arizona, we got a lock here. I'm actually picking Arizona to win this game. This is one of my big upsets this week. I've got a couple on the board that I think are games that are going to be upsets, but Arizona is getting 8.5 from the Seahawks, who I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they're bad. I don't know if they're going to play well this week. Any given week, this Seahawks team can look really, really good or really, really bad. The Cardinals, though, it's 8, not 8.5. Sorry. I just want to verify. But the Cardinals have played tough all year. I don't trust Seattle, even though it's in Seattle. And I think we're going to see Arizona pull off a sneaky upset here this week against a Seattle team that's reeling. I won't tell you that the lock is Arizona money line, though. I'm going out on a limb to pick that money line. The lock is Arizona plus 8. So if you're going to wager it, take the points because 8's a lot of points. I'm going to take them to win this game for our picks this week, but I'm a realist when it comes to actually wagering money. Just take the fucking points and run with them. 8's a lot.
I'll probably take the points too. I think
8's a lot.
I think, even the touchdown here, it works. So
yep.
I expect Seattle to win the game. I don't think it'll be
3-4.
Crazy. 3-7, right?
3-7. Fuck it. Lock it in.
When to me, again, and not just this game, whenever Vegas speaks to a weird number like 8 or 9, I don't love it because you're now, when you're Vegas, you're opening the door.
Yep.
Obviously, they know what they're doing. They've been at it for a while, but
they know how to set the hook.
A lot of teams only win by a touchdown. So, like, you get that 8 point, you're like, oh, fuck, I'm clear.
Yeah. Yep, I'm in. Arizona plus 8. I'm taking them to win. I think that they have been really plucky. They've played very tough defensively, and they know who they are on offense, so they don't try to, like, bullshit you and throw exotic shit at you. They want to slow the game down. They want to play defense. They want to rush the passer. And I got a feeling. I got a feeling that Arizona's going to pull this out against Seattle. Green Bay, Denver, probably not a lot to say here. Green Bay coming off a bye. Good week for them to regroup after a heartbreaking defeat the week prior. Denver, not good.
Just bad product.
Yeah. So Green Bay by default because Denver's no good. Kansas City and the Chargers. We're all on Kansas City. Nobody has any belief that the Chargers are going to rebound from that display against the Cowboys.
I don't know what more to say about the Chargers. Like, you get your hopes up every year that they can be, not only a good team, but maybe the team to turn the next page and compete with the Chiefs, and they just don't do it.
Nope.
And I mean, Herbert, for all the praise he gets, I see it. I see it in the stat book. I see it in the value of like his trading cards. I don't see it in the win column.
Yep.
Not when it counts.
Nope. Yep. I agree. This is a game I could see the Chargers like winning and everybody being like, oh, wait. Are the Chargers good?
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Yeah. I'm not picking them to win though, but I could see it. And then everybody being like, oh, whoa, are they good? And then Staley will remind us next week that no, they're not. Dolphins, Eagles. I am surprised. I expected one or the other of you or Raul to pick Philly. I have to hear from you because I've been very vocal about Philly and my feelings about Philly. I'm not going to repeat it. Why'd you pick Miami?
They're overwhelming. I think with the exception of the Bills game, right? They're an overwhelming team. And I think the Bills are better than the Eagles. I think they're better coached. And I'd probably criticize McDermott more than maybe anybody on planet Earth. But I think they're better coached. I think Josh Allen is a better quarterback. I think the offense is slightly better. Miami's overwhelming. I'm still a little, I don't want to say fluky, but I'm still a little, I question the Bills-Miami game a little bit. I think Miami went so far out of their way to kind of insult the Bills moving into that game that they forgot to go out there and play. Miami's overwhelming. That's all I can think of. They're just such a fucking, if you get, we've seen now where, like, obviously if you get behind early, you can't catch back up but you can go ahead early. We just saw it from Carolina, and obviously Philly's not Carolina, but they can just beat you up. I mean, Mostert's been awesome. Tyreek Hill's awesome. Jalen Waddle, we really haven't seen it from him yet.
Yeah.
Not on a consistent level, but it's coming, and this team's just – they seem to make plays defensively. I won't call them good defensively, but they make plays. And there's question marks about Philly. I don't have as many questions as you do, per se. However, they are there.
Yeah. My biggest thing in this is right now, Philly's secondary is banged up. And what you don't want to have when playing Miami is a banged up secondary, because you mentioned it. Waddle hasn't gotten loose yet this year. He could get loose at any time.
He's coming.
Tyreek Hill has already gotten loose, and he'll continue to get loose. And if you don't have guys at the second and third level that are ready to go, Raheem Mostert is going to disappear on you because they've all got fucking track speed. Luckily for Philly, the fastest guy on that team isn't playing. Right. It is amazing to think that a team that has Tyreek Hill on it, there's a faster guy.
I still think Tyreek Hill is the fastest guy with pads on.
He's the fastest football player.
Right.
He although I will say Achane has made some fucking good angles disappear on guys, but Tyreek Hill for sure with pads on. But it is just funny that like they all compared like their college 100-meter hurdle or 110-meter hurdle times, and Devin Achane had the best.
Right. Tyreek Hill is the fastest guy with a fucking duffel bag in his hand. Like that dude is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's absurd. That's my big thing is Philly's banged up in the secondary. Their offense is not the boogeyman. Jalen Hurts is not playing well right now. And the last thing you want to have against this fucking Dolphins team is a banged up secondary. All right, let's finish the week out here. San Fran against Minnesota. I'm going to be honest. I waffled a bit on this one until I saw the reports that Debo and Christian McCaffrey could possibly play. And this is a Monday night game, so they've got an extra day to recuperate. Trent Williams is probably not going to miss time either. So I think if you're telling me that San Fran's got most of the bullets in their magazine, I'm taking San Fran. If you told me that Debo and McCaffrey were going to be out for this game, I might be convinced to sway back to Minnesota because those are two big weapons to lose. But because I believe that one or both of those guys will play Monday night, I'm going to stick with San Fran.
I still would have picked San Fran, I think, for two reasons. One, I think it's easier to game plan the week without Debo and McCaffrey than it is to try to troubleshoot during the game.
That's fair.
Two, Kirk Cousins in prime time. I know you don't like it.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
And, you know, I guess I only had two, but I'll throw in a third. Like, I'm losing confidence in Minnesota every week.
Yeah.
I just even with a win, I didn't feel better about them. So I just think, you know, we talked about the point differential last year coming into this season. It's just they've done nothing to prove that they're beyond that. They lost Jefferson too, which is obviously huge. Yeah. You're relying on a rookie and Osborne. In that receiving game, obviously Madison sucks. Akers hasn't helped anything, and yeah, it's pretty fucking lonely if you're Kirk Cousins, right?
I was mildly surprised to see the reports that Kirk Cousins has said he will not waive his no trade.
Me too.
It could be public lip service, and maybe there's conversations behind closed doors because. You never fully close the door, right? Because they say one thing in public and do another. But I was surprised. I was surprised to hear that be a public assertion that he will not waive his no trade clause. I always just kind of thought he was just going to toe the line of like, it's not my thing. They may whatever, blah blah blah. That's for management to decide, yada yada. But to flat out say, I'm not going to waive my no trade. I'm wondering if he's not going to retire after this year, to be completely honest. I don't think so, but I wouldn't be surprised because Kirk is very much like he's a very family nucleus oriented guy. And if you watch that Netflix documentary, you get a lot of that. I wonder if they're not settled into Minnesota, and if Minnesota's not willing to extend him, he might just retire. Because he's from that area. Like, he played at Michigan State. He's from the Midwest. He's a Midwest guy. I'm not going to stand here and tell you, like, hey, Kirk Cousins is retiring after this year. But I don't know, man. That thought crossed my mind this week after I heard that. After I saw that report that he wouldn't waive his no trade. That thought crossed my mind. He's in the last year of his deal.
So for me,
maybe he just wants to be a free agent after the season and he wants to control his fate. Maybe that's what it is.
For me, at 35 years old, I think he probably just maybe he's just saying fuck this year. Because I don't know, because the biggest suitor that had come on is obviously the Jets. And do you want to go there with the possibility that maybe Zach Wilson
trouncing back down the tunnel
is okay enough, or Rodgers running back out after he's been on a fucking 3-month DMT hiatus,
ayahuasca tour?
I don't know what this guy does, dude. Like, Aaron Rodgers is weird. Like, somebody, I'm expecting his knees to bend the wrong way and he just runs in the mothership because the guy's a weirdo. But I don't know if you want to go to that situation, and I don't know what other situation was presenting itself. So maybe Cousins is like, well, fuck it. We're going to get out of here. We'll go be a 36-year-old in a situation I want. And there's going to be suitors, I think, next year.
There's options after the season.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, there's options. I mean, Raiders are probably going to come calling if Jimmy G's not the answer by the end of the year.
Absolutely. Well, that's
a decent spot, but maybe Brock Purdy shows he's not the guy and he goes to San Francisco.
I don't know.
Listen. Could you picture this though, right? A capable, proven, over 10 years, proven quarterback who flourished under Kyle Shanahan in Washington with way less weapons.
So let me give you one in the same division. Let me give you one in the same division.
Up north?
Seattle.
Yeah. I could see Seattle being, for sure, 100%. I could see that being. The other place, Denver.
I ain't going to fucking Denver if I'm anybody.
I don't know if I would want to go to Denver, but I could see Denver calling and saying, listen, Kirk, we'll give you whatever you want.
Nah, dude.
They're desperate. They're desperate.
No, dude. If I'm John, I ain't going to Denver. There ain't no fucking way, dude. There ain't no way. Fuck that. That shit is cursed, dude.
Shit. Yeah, for sure. I don't know.
Peyton Manning got rid of the Lions' fucking Bobby Lane curse. He didn't get rid of Denver's. Whatever curse is going on there. I don't know what the hell's happening.
Clearly.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting because you're talking about potentially a proven veteran quarterback that's on the free agent market. Is it New England? Maybe Belichick.
Maybe it's New England. I didn't even think of that one. And listen, I just thought of Seattle out of thin air. I don't even know where that came from, but
Seattle's a good.
I like it
because I believe the contract they've got with Geno is fairly team friendly.
I don't know what it is.
I think it was pretty front loaded, and they don't have a lot of dead money. In fact, I'm going to pull it up. I believe that they don't have a lot of dead money on his contract.
Just look at their receivers, and they got a run game, and they have that young defense.
Right.
And it's like, I think Kirk Cousins is win 11 games.
Yeah. So dead cap this year would have been 27.5. Dead cap next year 17, and that's a really young team. They could probably absorb that dead cap. So Seattle's not a bad option. New England might come calling. Maybe the Giants. Maybe Dable comes calling with the Giants.
I was going to say that. I didn't want to wish that evil on him, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I like Kirk. I don't want him to go to New York.
I don't even like him particularly. I don't even care. But I still
that's just a really bad spot.
Fuck.
For sure.
All
right, bud. Well, hey, that brings us to the conclusion of this episode, man. What do you got for us? Parting shots here.
My parting shot is look out next year for Kirk Cousins. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think as we go forward here, I think we have 5 teams that are 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 3 NFC teams, 2 AFC teams. We're looking pretty marvelous. They may not have been the teams you expected per se. Talking to you, Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
We like it. Keep it up. Some of the usual suspects. You got Seattle. You've got San Fran. You have the Chiefs obviously in there. So yeah, we've got some really, really, really good football going on right now. We have some really bad football going on. Looking at you, Giants.
Yeah.
Let's keep the season going. Everybody's having fun. I think this is probably the for me the most interesting start to a season that we've had in a couple of years. No undefeated teams. I love that. A lot to look forward to. We got to get these fucking primetime games in check, though. Jesus Christ.
That's been my thing, man. They've been so bad this year. Holy fuck.
I got to watch the Giants one more time. I'm fucking.
Even with like the good teams in these games, though,
insane,
primetime games have not been great. They really haven't.
Dude, awful. Like, it's not too early to flex. I said it last week. Like, get me something. At least that Sunday game, like, get me the fuck out of here.
Give me something. Give me something to end the day. Holy fuck. Yeah, I think honestly, like I'm gonna bring it back up, but like we all went 12-3 last week, right? So I think what we've seen.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, things are starting to settle in. We're starting to learn things about teams that maybe we didn't know at the beginning of the season. We didn't know how good maybe some teams were going to be. We didn't know how bad some teams were going to be. We're in week 7 now, and we're almost at the halfway pole. And there's some teams that see the shit or get off the pot, but we're starting to learn a lot, and we've figured out who's kind of who in the zoo. And this is the fun time of the year because this is when we start to really we get confidence in these teams, and then Cleveland upsets San Francisco, right? That's what's super fun about this time of year because we think we know what we know, and then fucking PJ Walker goes and knocks off Brock fucking Purdy, right? So
PJ, who didn't even play the week before Walker.
Right.
Yeah.
They started a rookie over PJ Walker the week before. So, yeah, for sure. But anyway, for Andy and Raul who couldn't make it tonight and the rest of the Backyard family, this has been another episode of The Blitz. We are out.